in our personal lives and as a result of systemic oppression. It really hits home the need for this commitment to reach out, the need to close the distance. And it brings all these issues of distance to heart and spirit. Rosh Hashanah, which begins this evening, gives our Jewish siblings just that opportunity. The chance to look around and to name who has been with you along this journey and who you have grown distant and disconnected from. It is both a communal and an individual practice, necessary to return to each year at the beginning of the new year to reconnect and see where the distance can be closed or repaired. In our third and final piece of a sermon series on a new church vision for First Universalist, we come to the third listing in our vision. We will become a congregation that reaches out to collaborate with diverse groups and people to challenge oppression and create peace and justice in our communities and in the world. I will repeat that for you because it is a mouthful. We will become a congregation that reaches out to collaborate with diverse groups and people to challenge oppression and create peace and justice in our communities and in the world. Each Sunday we have been exploring how we make a commitment to each portion of the vision statement, an intentional choice to join in these efforts out of our shared values as Unitarian Universalists. I would say that this commitment to reaching out is the expression of the theology of this faith. If we believe that all are loved, and we live in a world where some are closer to feeling that love based on man-made systems of oppression designed to keep us separate from one another, then reaching out to collaborate, to create peace and justice, to challenge oppression, becomes an expression of the love at the center of all that we do. Commitment to reaching out is a community commitment. If just one of us shows up to the rally, the protest, the lobbying space, the phone call, the impact is quite different from those moments when we show up in numbers. Did any of you this past week see the graphic of the child activist Greta Thunberg's first year of the climate strike? Did anybody see this? Yeah, it went around on social media quite a bit. And it's her all alone, sitting outside of Swedish Parliament a year ago, with a sign calling for the climate strike. The image has been juxtaposed next to pictures of millions striking worldwide, taking part in this important strike this week in cities all over the world. What a difference a year can make. I highlight this with you today because I have been Greta. I know firsthand what it is like to show up to the Justice Party. I'd say I've been her in the first picture, maybe not so much in the second. But I know what it is like to show up to the Justice Party as if I am the only one who cares. I know what it is like to self-righteously believe I am the only one here amongst my community who knows what's really going on. There have been times when I have wanted to be involved in justice struggles so badly, to maintain a certain public image, to look good. I showed up by myself and let everyone know what they should be doing. I spent years in this mode, always wanting to start my own projects, fix what this group of people is doing over here, or showing up where I believe no one else would go. But this does not a movement make, right? It is not invitational. In my experience, it did not nurture the spirit. In fact, I felt burnt out and tired, worn thin. Anybody been there before? Anybody here? Yeah, all right. Okay, all right. I'm not alone in this room. And arguably, I don't really know which community I was serving, really, when I showed up that way. It does not build in the trust that we need to rely upon in moments when we are actually coming up against oppressive systems, and we need to know we are not alone. It was a different kind of distance than the one we imagined just a few minutes ago, a time to intentionally set myself apart as someone who was woke. If I were to engage in the exercise that Dane Cutler lifts up for us at the base of Mount Sinai, there would not be too many that were close to me to offer gratitude. Instead, the many would be those with whom I had distance with. If we are not part of a movement, if we are not part of a community showing up, our justice efforts are way less effective. Dear ones, please learn from my experiences. Please let this be a commitment that is for all of us, including the people we have not yet met, the people we will never meet, and those yet to be born. My friend and co-organizer used to invite us at the end of every action to hold out our hands in front of our face, palms facing away. Will you join me in this? Just hold these out, hold out your hands in front of you. He would say, look at this hand. Its fingers represent 5 of us who are here today. Notice their strength. And now pull your fingers together and feel the strength of your fist. We are more powerful when we are in this together than when we are alone. And then he'd lead us in amazing rousing chant. It was wonderful. Feel that power. This church community has been committing to showing up and reaching out as a congregation for decades, probably longer. It is a part of the DNA here. It's in our bones. So many prepare food to bring it to the Reach, the Rochester Engaging in Action for the Chronically Homeless House. Throughout the winter, we take part in the Rochester Area Interfaith Hospitality Network, transforming this church into a home for 4 to 5 families over the course of a week who are struggling with homelessness and looking for a place of stability. We feed folks, care for their children, and set up bedrooms where families can stay safely for the week instead of living in their cars. And it is not just about homelessness. I want to just see a show of hands here. Who prepares food for Reach? Keep your hands up. Who participates in RAIN? Raise your hands. Who participates in rights for migrant farm workers? Animal rights, anti-racism efforts, immigration rights, showing up around gun violence, the LGBTQ community. And there's so many more, right? There's probably a million that I've left out. So I know I'm speaking to folks this morning who know what they are doing and who have been showing up for years and years and years. And so, what would I have to say to you all this morning? Maybe my job is done. Well, of course, there's at least something I can say, right? I have 3 things that feel extremely important to say in this moment that we are in right now. Number 1, in order to collaborate with diverse groups, respect for diversity and intercultural competence are central. Number 2, our justice efforts need to be laser-focused rather than trying to be all things to all people. And number 3, we need to know our power. We have the capacity to change the world. So to this first point, in order to collaborate with diverse groups, respect for diversity and intercultural competence are central partnerships. Collaboration and relationships are essential. This is not a place to start our own movements out of relationship with the people around us who do not come to this church. We are here to partner. And in those partnerships, if the community that is affected isn't at the table to devise the solution, then the relationship in reaching out is broken. If those with whom we have distance in our reflection this morning are those we seek to serve, then we need to find a different way that those who are served become the ones closest to us, with whom we share gratitude. We collaborate in the spirit of knowing that this church alone cannot possess the answers. To seek relationship is to nourish our spirits and to create a peer-based partnership. rather than the haves serving the have-nots in a way that feels comfortable for those of us who live with privilege. Ever since the word diversity was put into this part of the vision statement, the question naturally came up, well, what do you mean by diversity? Right? To answer this question in its fullness would be a sermon in itself. But to touch upon it lightly this morning, we must go deeper than what we can see externally as cultural difference, namely race, or maybe physical ability, or even gender. Now, all of these things are important, and one's culture is also about ethnic background, geographical context, what kinds of food we eat, family rituals, religion, and so much more. Building intercultural competency invites, try saying that 3 times fast. Building intercultural competency invites us to see this room as a diverse space where each one of us comes from a family, a race, an ability level, a community that informs who we are, and so much more. To celebrate the diversity already here in such a way that no one is invisibilized or not seen for who you are to the fullest extent of your culture is a celebration of diversity. Valuing the diversity of folks who are already here, recognizing that our diversity is a fact that helps us move deeper into collaboration that brings about the peace and justice we want to see for Rochester and for our world. In this spirit, I come to this second point about being laser focused, rather than trying to be all things to all people. Our first Universalist initiative for racial equity, FIRE, that Elizabeth spoke about earlier, was born out of such a desire. This initiative was conceived of as a way to offer this congregation focus, a project that belongs to all of us, rather than a small handful of folks. It was proposed as a way we could focus in. As Unitarian Universalists, we are so passionate about social justice. Think of all those hands that just went up. There are so many causes to be a part of. What I love about this morning's story is that the young person on the beach knows their context, knows their role, and knows what their priorities are: to save lives. As a church community, we cannot repair everything, but we can do something. And reaching out in a bunch of directions can wear us thin, can cause our outreach to be partial in some areas and strong in others. To draw from another image from the sea that we use in community organizing, it is easy for the big fishes of systemic oppression, like racism, sexism, ableism, classism. It is easy for those big fishes, including the folks and corporations whose survival depends on these forces to be in place, to chase after a bunch of small fishes who are swimming away without direction or cause. The inverse is that each one of these small fish can swim together in an organized fashion to fight against these big forces, but we must be coordinated and focused. I want to be part of conversations about how we reach out with strength, with power, and with focus. And that is because we are more powerful than we think. This beautiful group of people in this church in downtown Rochester has so much capacity to reach out, to really make this commitment in a way that has an impact. If we set our collective minds and hearts and bodies to do it, we can certainly be an able and stable partner in the fight to end systemic racism, and to advocate on behalf of families and children and young people's lives that are threatened currently by these forces. If we are able to focus, we have the power to reach out into our community to make some real change. This vision of a civil rights heritage park is so much bigger than just a place in a park. This is about joining a movement with ultimate goals and vision to end racism and childhood poverty in our city. This is about joining with other faith groups to come together to create this park and in the process build enough trust to establish working relationships together to work towards an end to systemic racism here in our city. It is a slow process. It will be messy, and it is such a worthy endeavor. We have made this commitment to reaching out together. We made this commitment when we took a congregation-wide vote last June to support this project. And that was a congregational commitment. And now we have a chance to show up for the educational opportunities that are the inroads to joining in this process, to show up for the planning and the organizing meetings that are ahead, that we may reach out, that we may look around when the next new year rolls around and see less folks with whom we have distance. And the following year to see even less people with whom we have distance, that we may one day reach a place where we truly experience the unity at the heart of this living tradition and at the heart of our humanity. It is time now to begin. It is time now to get involved. It is time now for us to recognize where we have fallen short and out of connection, and seek forgiveness for our shortcomings through actions by showing up. It is time now for healing. It is time now for repair. It is time now to reach out into our community with focus. It is time now to honor the power of this community and of this place. It is time now. It is time now. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.